This episode of XIV Reborn is brought to you by Hulu Plus. For a free 2-week trial, 2 weeks, not one, use the URL huluplus.com/gamebreaker and get your streaming on.
Gamebreaker TV.
Here we go, chat. Welcome to XIV Reborn, the Final Fantasy podcast, episode number 34 for April 15th, 2014. You're watching Gamebreaker TV. I'm Mike Byrne, and on this week we play catch up after our special edition episode last week. There's lots of little news tidbits that we're going to review, and what does Turn 9's first defeat mean for Final Fantasy XIV rating? But first, joining me for some XIV chat as he does, every week, Mr. Happy Michael Poveromo. What's up, sir?
My beard is gone, that's what's up.
I see that. You look like a papaya.
Apparently I look like a papaya. a very tired papaya. You might hear my nephew crying a little bit, as he has been for the past few days.
A very tired papaya. Well, last week, we got to spend some love with the XIV community team. Great show. Had a blast with them. A lot of people mad that we didn't ask dev questions, but, you know, hey, we were talking to the
that
community
last
team.
one, we almost had it. That last
Yeah,
one, we almost
right.
had it. But the snipers.
I like the people that was so scripted. Yeah, of course it was.
No,
you gotta
what
bring
makes you
the
think
show to the
that?
logical end. We will. At least I'm trying to see if we could potentially get dev team on a future show. I don't know if that's gonna happen. There's a lot more hoops to jump through with that one, so we'll see. But yeah, that's why we didn't ask dev.
Let's get Yoshi
questions.
P on
They
the
were
show.
community. There you go. Let's get Yoshi P on the show. So last week's show gave us a chance to hang out with them and learn a lot more about them, what they do, and how they scour the forums and get all of our feedback and where it goes and everything. Special thanks, obviously, to Square Enix for allowing that to happen. That's pretty cool. But, of course, now we need to play catch-up, right? It's been 2 weeks since we actually talked news, and luckily there wasn't any, mega huge news that dropped that we really needed to cover. So we got a little lucky there. It wasn't anything big in the last 2 weeks, but there's certainly quite a few smaller items that are really adding up. So let's kind of take today's show just to catch up, bring us back up to date with 2 weeks. First, I guess we should welcome, we know there's some of them in chat, we should welcome any new PlayStation 4 players checking out the show for the first time. I got some tweets earlier, some people that watched the show previously, and that's why they bought the PlayStation 4 version. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy to have you. You have plenty of people to help you do Fates.
Yes, plenty of people to help you do Fates. Except for the Fate taken out in Southern Thailand.
Oh, no, we'll get to that. I know you're upset and you want to vent a little, and we will. We definitely will. But with the PlayStation 4 launch, PlayStation 4 collector set players got the Fat Chocobo mount and the Mog Minion, which all of us that are previous collector set holders got as well. Have you played on the PS4 at all?
I don't have a PlayStation 4.
So
I've only heard good things. I've heard so many good things from other people. And I have a friend who was streaming the PS4 beta for a while. I know Twitch kind of, downplays the graphics a little bit, but it still looked really nice.
Oh yeah, it's totally different. We'll talk about that in a second because I am playing it. I bought the PlayStation 3 figuring I would fish or something from the couch, and I almost never did. The PlayStation 4 may entice me to do that a little more. So how you digging the mount and the minion, first off? I find that most people are liking the Mog Minion, no problem, and the Fat Chocobo kind of seems to be split down the middle. You either absolutely love this mount, or you can't stand this mount.
You can't stand it because you can't see past it, and everybody's on it in Mordona. Those are the people who hate it. I'm not one of those people, though. I love the Fat Chocobo.
I love the Fat Chocobo, too.
The Moogle Minion, I found a bug with it. I posted on my Twitter yesterday. They'll actually dance with any wind-up minion.
Yeah,
so if a minion has wind up in its name, they'll actually walk up to each other, and the Moogle will start dancing. And the other wind-up minion will actually trigger its like special animation, like wind up Bahamut, his shell comes off and the Tonberry stabs. I think it's a bug, but I hope it never gets fixed.
You're pixelating a little bit. Hopefully that fixes itself in a moment here. Yeah, the Fat Chocobo, I don't know. I dig it. I think it's cute. I'm never going to ride around on it much, but I dig that we all got it for free. I mean, we didn't have to do a damn thing to get it. I think your internet connection might be dropping because now I'm getting a little static from you. We'll hang tight and see if we can't get Happy back. So yeah, I'm digging that. The PlayStation 4 version itself actually has far exceeded my expectations. PlayStation 3, I wanted to play it as kind of like my layback fish game, do a little crafting, whatever, but it just wasn't all there, and we have lost Happy, so we'll get him back in just a second. The PlayStation 4 version, though, is exceptional. It's totally a different game. Not only just, obviously, visually and things like that you would expect it to be because it's a more powerful machine than the PlayStation 3, but it feels like a totally different game, and the frame rate is extraordinary. It's just all around very, very, very happy. But there does seem to be... I didn't have to go through much of this myself, but there does seem to be a little bit of confusion over getting that PlayStation 4 copy registered. First off, if you were brand new, they had some errors going on where you couldn't actually register your key. They have fixed those. But then there was even further issues with PlayStation 3 players that were upgrading to the PlayStation 4, and it just caused a bit of confusion as to where does the key go, how do you register the account, and obviously the issues with the sites for the game are still persisting because it's not really making it a smooth transition. If you went from PlayStation 3 and you did not purchase a PlayStation 4 copy, I'll give you the lowdown here. You just want to upgrade from your existing PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4. You get that upgrade one time. Once you've completed that upgrade, you can no longer play on the PlayStation 3. That's it. You didn't buy a copy of the game for the PlayStation 4. This is just you bought the PlayStation 3 and you want to upgrade. You can do that. You can't go back, though. You can't go back home, as they say. The PlayStation 4 copy itself, if you bought a copy of that, you can register that on your existing account and thus still be able to play on the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4 switching back and forth because you bought a copy of each and registered a copy of each. Kind of like us PC players that are bounced back and forth between the consoles. We had to buy the console version and we had to buy the PC version, register both of those keys to one account. So that was kind of the confusion piece for some people, was what exactly do I need to upgrade to the PlayStation 4? PlayStation 3 copy only, you can upgrade one time. If you buy a physical or a digital copy of on the PlayStation 4, then you can play on both by registering to the same account.
Boo.
Got your back there, big guy. Got your back.
Bit of bad weather around here. Knocked out my internet for a short time.
No, that's all right. That's all right. I just got to expand your window a little bit more to cover up some of... There we go. Perfect.
I was in the middle of talking about a bug I found with the Moogle minion. It just cut me off.
I know, but you were telling us about the dancing with any wind-up minion. And I took everybody through the confusion with upgrading from PS3 to PS4. So we're fine, Big Daddy. We're fine.
All right, that's good. Glad you handled it solo. I knew you could do it.
Yes, well, you know, that's how we do, as they say.
I don't know. I don't know about that. But.
I am going to be playing on the PlayStation 4. The quality of it is actually enticing me to want to sit on the couch and play it. So welcome brand new PlayStation 4 players, and every PlayStation 3 player that I've talked to that upgraded to 4 could not be happier with overall performance of the game. So the launch seemed to go pretty smoothly with the exception of a few registration issues. There was no real big impact on the servers, so it seemed to be pretty smooth.
Yeah, it was all right. The weekend when everyone was having problems with the PlayStation 4, I think it was beta phase 2, I had no problems. Come early access, the problems that people had during beta phase 2, I had during early access. Hasn't been bad since the official launch, which was just yesterday, and towards the end of the weekend, it wasn't so bad. But when it first happened, I was getting booted from dungeons randomly, and I was getting the skips in the dungeons where people would just teleport. but it wasn't that bad, and it didn't happen very frequently.
In other news, patch 2.21 also dropped between the last show and this one. Not too much here. It wasn't a huge patch. There were some fixes which we'll go over. But the real big piece of this was implementing the lament of some raiders here. Implementing the turn 1 through 5 in the first binding coil of Bahamut. Implementing the nerfs / echoes / whatever the hell you want to call it. And that's going to continue over the next 6 weeks as those get up and up and up in strength. Still not a lot of people happy with this one. And you're a hardcore raider. I would call you and your guys a hardcore raider. I would call me at the higher end of the casual raider. I play more than a casual player, but I'm not aggressively going after world firsts or anything like you and your free company are. Does this bother you, the whole nerfing thing still, or are you guys just like, we're not even running that anymore, so we don't care?
We actually spent a lot of time in the previous coil gearing up alts and alternate jobs, just trying to get to full 90 on a lot of the other jobs that were a bit more versatile in the new coil. And we actually kind of liked the echo. We've been there, we've done that. So at least on my end, it was just, okay, well, I've been doing this for a while now. The 10% just helps me do this new thing that I'm doing a little bit quicker. My condolences to those of you who wanted to do it prior to the nerfs. Even turn 4 got its own individual nerf.
Yeah, with the Clockwork Knights.
I will say this, though. The biggest nerf in all this patch didn't even happen at 2.21. It was the ninja nerf to the turn 5 landscape. Sometimes I just can't focus without that hill there in turn 5. I can't stand how flat the arena is now.
It did turn into a flat. It used to be really, really bowl-shaped, and now all of a sudden it's a plate.
Yes,
it's a plate, and that was weird because it wasn't in the 2.2 patch notes that was even something they were talking about doing.
Yeah,
and then we go into turn 5 because my raid group at the time, was on turn 5 when 2.2 dropped, and then we went back in after 2.2 and it was like, wait, what? It's kind of weird.
This isn't the same, is it?
Yeah, definitely a weird little ninja fix. In 2.2.1, though, it was nice that the Atma quest text was fixed.
That's half the fight.
So those 9 that drop in Central Thanalin, no, it's just really just one. It's just one, guys. Speaking of Atma and Animus and all of that, where are you right now? Just before the show, I almost completed my second book. My Brayflock's normal pug fell apart, so I didn't get to finish it. But that's the last thing I have left for the second book. I farmed all 12 Atma. I have the Atma weapon. Completed the first book. 1 dungeon left on the second book, and then I think I need to farm maybe 800 myth to buy book 3. So I'm moving along. And exactly like we talked about 2 weeks, I could not be loving the second half of this quest more. Such a stark difference to me between the Atma mess that I hated and the second phase. Yes, it's a grind. Yes, it's going to take time. Yes, it can be tedious to farm up 1,500 myth. But every single thing that I'm doing, I feel like I'm moving forward. It's in like an automatic checkpoint system. I've got this page done. Let me flip over to the Fates. Let me flip over to the dungeons. Okay, I've done this book. Let me farm some myth. I really, really like the way the Animus portion of this is set up. And I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to get to Book 9 finished before 2.2.5 or 2.3, wherever the quest chain continues. So I'm feeling confident that now I'm past the Atma thing. I can stop banging my head against the wall. You were on the books 2 weeks ago when we started this. You already had your Atma. What's the update for you, Big Daddy?
Well, I spent a lot of time in Coil in the past.
Yeah. Oh, well, obviously, yeah.
Or helping people with Coil 1 through 5, gearing up alts. I actually took a little bit of a focus off the books after I think I got the 3rd or 4th book done. I started doing it a little bit less. When I would cap Soldier, I would get some myth. I would do like a few myth runs a day. I would get mythology from the Beastman dailies, and even maps. I've started to do maps a little bit more frequently just to take away from how many dungeon runs I'm gonna have to do. I am currently, I think, 350 mythology for my 7th book, so I need 3,350 mythology still. I had a little bit of a blunder with one of those books, not even 3 or 4 days ago. For those of you who don't know, you thought the Fates were completely done when you've done the Atmas.
Yeah,
Yes,
and the spawn time
random
on these
nature.
fates has drastically changed.
Oh yeah, well some of them are really good still. I definitely think they looked at some of them and were still a
see,
problem.
I don't even know because there are a couple, and I've just been lucky, I guess, on the fates because I haven't had to wait too long. I think the longest I had to wait for was air supply outside of Fallgord Float North.
I got air supply pretty quick.
I got it a bajillion times when I was farming Atma, and then when I freaking need it for the Animus book, I'm standing up there for like 20, 30 minutes. But that was the longest wait I've had. I've had some people in the free company that are sitting there waiting, 45 minutes. So the spawn times, you were, which one were you doing? Taken?
Taken. I waited 3 hours for it to spawn the first time. And
I'm sorry.
listen. Yeah, because you already know what happened. And then finally like 2.5 hours in, I was like, you know what? I have dungeons still to do for this book. I'm gonna do those. In worst case scenario, I had people I was live streaming. I had people in my chat that let me know if the fate spawns, and I could just leave. So that sounds
like a good plan. That sounds like a good plan.
Like,
hold on. You know what? I think you could explain this whole thing, or
you can play.
We could just show them.
There's a bit of profanity
Chat,
in
here's
this.
a warning.
There's a bit of profanity.
This is going to take about 2 minutes of your time. And I've got to warn you now. There is some adult language used in this 2 minutes. There may be a few F-bombs dropped in the next 2 minutes. So, fair warning right now. We try to keep language to a minimum on this show, but it is geared towards an older audience anyway. So I'm going to show this video because I don't think there's a better way to explain this. But if you are younger or you have delicate sensibilities, the next 2 minutes of your life should be spent doing something else. Because there's a few F-bombs. Here you go.
Reminds me of pretty much every other MMO. No! I disconnected from the dungeon, guys. No! I can't execute it during no! Stall it! We're in the middle of combat! I can't get out! I can't get out! We're killing it too slow! We're killing it too slow! I'm trying! Kill it faster! Go! Kill it faster! Oh my god, come on! It's dying so fucking slow! And I'm out of TP! Don't let it end! Don't let it end! Don't let it end! Halfway done, no. No, wait, don't kill anything else! Don't fucking kill anything else! Just stop killing things! All of you, just stop killing things! I'm here! I made it! I made it! I'm here! I'm here! Woo! I didn't... Fuck! Come on! God, fuck! See you in 8 hours. God, fuck! Why did that group have to be so fucking slow? God, motherfuck. I knew I shouldn't have been doing dungeons. Now I can't even re-queue to do the dungeon again.
That was amazing. Now, obviously I follow you on YouTube, and so I see your videos pop up, and I put the ones that, you know, go on different guides and things for XIV Nation, so people that are checking it out there can see your stuff too. And so I see this one pop up that says, "I hate Fates," and I was like, wait a minute, he's beyond that stuff. He's beyond the Atma farming. What does he hate about Fates now? Let me go and watch this. I almost pissed myself.
Okay. Let's add some context.
Yeah, put a little context around it.
It's not clear in the video unless people are on that part of the quest. Okay, so when you're done with your Atma Fate farming, you get books. We've explained what these books are. You buy them for 1500 mythology. They give you a bunch of mini quests, kill enemies, do dungeons, do leave quests, and you have to complete them. One of the 4 topics is to do fates. You need to do 3 specific fates. Again, the better thing here is you know that where that fate will spawn. You know that when you complete it, if you get a gold, which I learned, you will be done with that fate, and you will not have to do it again. Some of these fates, I swear, the spawn times were quadrupled over the course of this patch. And that fate is one of them. That's not the first fate I've waited for. That's the first fate I've really missed because of doing something else. That fate I had been waiting 3 hours for, and I came back and I got a silver on it, which doesn't count. I had to wait 4 more hours for it to spawn again. And the scariest thing is, the whole time I would get, like, one of my retainers returned from a venture, and I'd be like, can I go back and send them on another venture? The whole time. And then finally, luckily there's NPCs that walk up and take like 5 minutes to trigger that fate. So when I saw those NPCs spawn, I was like, there they are! Please don't 90k me. Please don't 90k me.
See, the only, like, snafu that I had with the fate so far was in the very first book, you have to do a fate out in the Shroud called The Enmity of My Enemy. And
yeah,
and that's one that you have to pop from an NPC. You have to go and talk to them and manually pop the fate.
It's also a 2-parter.
Exactly. So I went out and I popped the fate when I saw him there, and it was called The Enemy of My Enemy. The second one is called The Enmity of My Enemy. So yeah, and it's that second one that you need. However, I just assumed Square Enix translation snafu. I killed Enemy of My Enemy, and I went ahead to Coerthus to do my next one. And then I finished the last one in Coerthus, the Sep one, and I'm like, wait, why isn't my book finished? And then I look it up on XIVDB, and it shows this one leads this one. I'm like, oh, God, I thought I could count on mistranslation. I thought I could count on it this time.
This wouldn't be the first time it's happened in the Atma.
Right, exactly. So, I don't know. I like the books thing, though. I'm okay with it. Yeah, the fate time's a little wonky, but I'm so much happier playing this portion of this quest out than Fate was. To do the Atma stuff, I did not connect to my Free Company's Mumble for 3 days. And Niabari can confirm this in chat. You know, I totally just disconnected. I was just like, you know what? Forget it. Nothing. Disconnected from Mumble, put Netflix on my other monitor, caught up on House of Cards. So Larry Everett, if you happen to be watching, I'm totally caught up on House of Cards. And farmed up the Atma. And we're going to come back to the Atma because one of the viewer questions does have to do with this topic, and I don't want to get into it here because the viewer took the time to ask it, so let's answer it in their question.
Fair enough.
Also in here, there were some other bug fixes in 2.2.1, and I know it wasn't part of 2.2.1. They had done this independently prior to 2.2.1, but we have seen a lot of we're going to address server stability. We're going to address server stability maintenances. We talked about that 2 weeks ago. Any better for you and you guys, particularly the instance server has been the one that's been a real pain in the ass lately.
I get like 190k a weekend, and it usually results in me not being able to connect. Since the PlayStation 4 early access, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, I've been seeing a little bit more of it. It's never really a mass disconnection. Usually one person goes and they take a minute to reconnect. The disconnections don't seem to be going slow. Like, I'm not getting kicked off out of the game for like 5 minutes at a time because my character won't log off like what was happening before. But it's still happening. And it's obviously still something that does need to be addressed. Even if it's not happening on a large scale, it is still happening.
Yeah, and I'm still seeing, particularly in instances, still seeing the rubber banding and the lag delays and stuff there.
Yeah.
It's a little better. A little better than it was when we talked 2 weeks ago about it. But it's got to be fixed quickly.
I really feel like Square Enix, the financial part, when they say, okay, you have this much money to do this, they're literally just like seeing how little they can get away with giving them per server. Like, I really feel like they're just like, listen, if it does better, we'll upgrade it later. And it's really weird because I almost, that's the mentality that we're trying to avoid with, we can fix it in a later patch. They should be thinking that way with the servers. You can fix this now, don't fix it next patch.
Right.
Fix it as soon as possible.
Now, speaking of bugs, though, we did get a post as part of 221 that they implemented in the second binding coil of Bahamut. There was some exploiting going on, particularly turn 7, if I'm not mistaken.
And 8.
But yeah, and so there were fixes, countermeasures implemented here. Now, since you cannot do them anymore, and they're not able to be taken advantage of, what exactly was going on here? You would know more than I on this one.
I've heard a lot of different stories, but the most common one I've heard is players were using... Now, you know how there's bots out there, like the mining bots that place you inside of the walls?
Yeah.
The story I'm hearing most often is that people are having their characters placed above the ground in turn 7 and 8, and there's a lot of mechanics that hit the AoE on the ground. Apparently, the damage was only dealt on a 2-dimensional plane because you're not supposed to be able to break that 3rd dimension of the Z-axis.
Right.
And so players were using those tools to alter their Z-axis and avoid mechanics entirely. The only reason why
have we learned nothing from the way people are have been doing the first boss in Sunken Temple forever now?
Yeah, I mean, and even Chimera still hits on a 2-dimensional plane. And that's apparently what the problem was. Apparently there was I don't know their names, but they're apparently one of the groups that used that was on my server. Because there was an entire free... Because BG were the only 2 people who had beaten turn 8 at the time of them announcing this exploit. There was 2 of their groups. And we had a group on our server that had beaten turn 8, and then we didn't see them anymore. I don't remember there being a free company name attached to them. I don't know any of the names of the people. But very interesting that that idea somehow got around to more... Like, I thought that would be something only one group would think of. But apparently... 24 people thought of it, 3 groups.
I mean, if you've done it in other fights throughout the game, why not try it for the ending fights?
To go as far as to use a bot that does it, though, is like really weird, a third-party program. I'm glad to see that in light of this, though, they said they're going to be implementing newer, better ways to track kills and notice how people are doing them. That actually gives hope to me because one thing that we're missing is an API to track kills on things. People are just using mapping achievements.
Yeah, so we don't have any progression API capabilities like you see for World of Warcraft and WoW Progress and stuff like that.
So because of the recent add-on talk, it's almost leading me to believe that they've developed an API and are now testing it inside of the servers live before they release it out to everybody else to use.
Talking about fun server stuff, I thought this was a neat little patch note in 221. Apparently, the stress on some servers in some locations has become so much that NPCs now have to be eliminated. And if you have noticed that some of your NPC friends, particularly in Fallgourd Float, are missing, you're exactly right. Square Enix, Yoshi P, and team have removed some NPCs from Fallgourd Float to help with server stability issues in an overpopulated area.
That didn't happen with Wineport. I don't understand how it's happening with Fallgourd Float.
Oh, I love this patch note. I freaking love this patch note.
Did they get rid of the guy who's always carrying the box? Because I feel bad for that guy. He never gets a break.
Oh, I love that patch note. Well, you know that NPC mother and son, her son was kidnapped. He's gone. We're never bringing him back. The server can't handle this kid.
Oh, Square Enix kidnapped.
So Yoshi P has kidnapped this kid. That's my favorite patch note from 221 by far. Yes, to increase server stability, we've gone ahead and executed a few NPCs. Hatching Tide, obviously, kind of the big news, event-wise. You haven't taken part in it, though.
I have not. I have not done a single chapter of it yet.
The fourth chapter, the fourth and final chapter, released today. So if you haven't done any of it, you can now do it all from start to finish. You got a week to do it. It released like the Lightning event did, where it was one segment every 2 days for 8 total days until all 4. I actually really like this event. If you haven't done it yet, the basic gist of it is an Easter egg hunt type deal, which, remember the Final Fantasy XI Easter egg hunts?
Oh man, those were
I
remember some naughty words being spelled in some bazaars.
Thousands of people with bazaars set up with great ordering on their products. Anyway, nothing like that. You get you buy egg helmets that are painted different colors. There's also rings, and then you have to team up. Initially with one person and, pretty much carry an egg through a maze without Spriggans getting you. And then the final quest, you have to do it with 4 people, a party of 4. I really like this because this starts doing what you and I have talked about some of the Final Fantasy XI events used to do, was you now have to start talking to people. And yes, it's really easy in like a free company like Game Breaker Nation with a lot of people on to just say, hey, who wants to go do this real quick? But I kind of took the opportunity to, I think I only did 1 or 2 of them one with Neobari and 1 with Duel. So I did 2 of the 4 with free company folks. And then the other 2, I just wanted to grab somebody and let's go do it. I kind of like it. It's fun. It's by no means hard, right? You can knock it out in a day if you want to go do it now. And the reward is the egg harness for your chocobo. Pretty cool. I like the event overall, though. It encourages you to start trying to group up with other people on your server that maybe aren't in your free company that just happen to be standing there. So this one gets a thumbs up from me. I dig this. And that's not all. There's a lot more going on here, too, that you may not have read about.
Oh.
And you may not even know about.
Oh.
I accidentally stumbled across it.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, accidentally. So, speaking of Animus, I'm doing my Animus book thing, right? And I go to Quarthus, and I have to kill 3 or 10 of the specific Gigas that are there in the in the crater, right? And so I go and I find them, and I'm doing it, and I find at the top of the crater there, at the piece that goes all the way across that you can jump on, there is a level 5 coddled Spriggan chilling there. And I'm like, well, what the hell is this dude doing here? And this was like on day 1 of the event. Yeah. And I hadn't seen anything on the forums or on Lodestone about it. I don't know what the hell it was, and so I killed him. Right. When you don't know what it is, you kill it.
Yeah, obviously.
And he drops a silver decorated egg. And I'm like, okay, well, let me check this shit out. Google, right? And I find out that, and Reddit had just started building, a sheet that had locations of these guys, because they're spread out all over the world in various locations. And their spawn time's a couple of hours in between each pop. Now, some of them are so close to cities that they will always give you a bronze egg. So I skip those guys. But most of them will give you a silver decorated egg. And of course, if you get 10 silver decorated eggs, you can trade them in for a gold decorated egg. And then you can open up the gold decorated egg and voila, lucky charms, lots of prizes, lots of fun. And then there's some that trigger a specific fate too. None of this was in like the Springtide thing, right? It was just, no, this wasn't there. I thought this was awesome, right? This is what I'm talking about. It feels like NM light hunting to me. Like, people want NMs in the game, but not NMs the way they ended up in Final Fantasy XI. This is nice, like, right before I log off. If it's 3 in the morning, I'll make my rounds to, like, 10 or 15 locations, and if there's a sprig in there, kill them and take the silver egg. Now, I've gotten 2 gold eggs so far. The first one had a crafting rose in it. Chat, you can correct me. I can't quite remember the name. It's like Azurmite or something like that rose, and it's a weaving thing. And then the second one had 21 Allagan pieces in it, worth 2,500 gil apiece. So I was just handed 52,500 gil for farming these eggs. Now, the rumor is the Spriggan hat is in these things. And I don't know if this one's true yet, because Reddit, and we're all kind of arguing about it on Reddit. We think a screenshot might be faked. So I like it. I love it. You digging it? Are you going to do this at all? I mean, you don't have time, and now I've just spilled the beans about it for people that don't know. So the competition's going to get a little fierce.
Yeah, well, I've got more time than most when it comes to playing this game. So yeah, I was actually gonna say, because like I said, I haven't done it, so the only thing I know is I see people shouting occasionally for help. Oh, I need one other person. I didn't have much time to play today, so I didn't see anybody shouting for groups of 4, but I'm sure it was there. And in light of this, these are the kind of things that I would actually prefer. I was gonna say the one thing I think events absolutely are still in need of is a reason to keep participating in the event when you finish the quest.
Yes.
And I mean something past the lightning thing, like, oh, if you do the first couple of fates an extra like 2 or 3 times, you can get a bunch of level 13 weapons. Now, I like this approach a little bit more. Rare mounts, rare vanity items, and rare bardings, things like that. I would like to see those come more from these kind of events in this form, especially in this, like as you call it, NM Light hunting method. I would prefer these kind of methods. I actually like that.
Yeah, and I kind of call it NM Light because that's what it is. There's a ton of them, right? I think Reddit has built a list that's easily got at least 20 to 25 on them, and the locations for you. And if you happen to see me going up to kill it and you kill it ahead of time, I hate you. But I kind of like it NM Light. You know, it's gonna spawn again in an hour or 2. It's not a huge long respawn time. In fact, I've farmed the same one a couple of times just in between, you know, running 2 or 3 Brayflox hard modes and then coming back. And so it's not a huge long spawn time, but it is enough that you don't want to just stand there. I like it. I like that. And I like that it wasn't advertised anywhere either. That it wasn't right up on the lodestone for you to get the locations and go do. I'm totally behind this.
It was something that was community driven. The community themselves had to work together to come up with these locations.
Lodestone, speaking of that, it also got a few updates just to add the soldiery, tomestones of soldiery, and some new sort features. Not really a ton to talk about on that one. Anything else over the last 2 weeks, now that we're fully caught up, you want to chat about? I think we hit most of them.
Really think of. I mean, Hatching Tide was the only thing I was thinking of, and I hadn't participated, so you covered that for the most part.
Yeah. Well, that's good, because you're going to cover a lot of the next topic.
Fun. See,
that's the way we balance the show, ladies and gentlemen. We figure out. Yeah, it's crazy, but it just might work. You know what else works? Hulu Plus. And right now, it can work for you for a 2-week free trial. Best way to support GameBreaker is help support our sponsors. We want to thank Hulu Plus for sponsoring the XIV Reborn show here on GameBreaker. Use that URL you see on your screen, huluplus.com/GameBreaker. Make sure you use that URL because you get 2 free weeks instead of the normal 1 free week. That's an exclusive offer for you guys. Now, you've probably tried Hulu on your computer. I know. You've heard it. You've done it. You're saying, Mike, what else do I have? Hulu Plus, you can watch current season episodes of favorite shows like Modern Family, Daily Show, even Scandal's on there. Every episode of Nashville, Lost, Doctor Who, whatever you want, it's on there, all ad-free. Movies and kid shows too. Family Guy, obviously. I spent a lot of time watching that one. There's just so much to watch on here, and you can stream it all onto pretty much any device. Your computer, your smart TV, Roku, Apple TV, Xbox, PlayStation, whatever you have that can stream, it can probably do this. So now you too can be using the bathroom watching your Hulu Plus. Following, I love that show. Cosmos, have you watched that at all, Happy? Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oh,
if you name a show that a lot of people watch, there's a good chance I've never seen a single episode of it.
Oh, it's fantastic. Cosmos is awesome. You also get access to original programming too, not just the shows that you're watching on network television. Check out this new show here. I'll show it to you. There it is. Deadbeat. It's a comedy about a guy that smokes pot and talks to ghosts. You really can't beat that. 2 weeks free just by using our URL. After that, it's only $7.99 a month to get your shows anytime, anywhere. That's pretty much like a quarter a day. Use that URL. You get complete access for 2 free weeks. That's a whole extra week on top of the normal offer. So make sure you use huluplus.com/GameBreaker. Get in and start streaming now with the Hulu Plus. There you go. Now, in other news... In case you didn't hear, turn 9, also known as turn 4 in the second binding coil of Bahamut, as the community team corrected us last week.
Oh man, all the time.
It has been beaten. And what we believe is a world first. Now, we're still waiting for the official recognition from Yoshi P and team like we got for turn 5. But we don't have really any, just like their turn 5 kill, we don't really have any reason to doubt the turn 9 kill. It's just a matter of formality to get the official confirmation. And the world first goes to... Order of the Blue Garter. Once again, they popped up this image here. Let me, I did not queue this one up before the show, so let me go ahead and grab the image for you. They sent up this image Sunday night East Coast time of the turn 9 kill. What do you think, Happy?
It was pretty good. I've been playing around with the fight a lot myself, and it was it's good to see that with they've been on that for turn 8 Monday of the first lockout. So 2.2 came out that Thursday, and they had turn 8 beaten by Monday. So it's been a little bit less than 2 weeks since then. I think it was a week 6 days since then.
Take a look at this screenshot, and this is with the UI up and everything, obviously. 1, 2, 3 players with weakness. Only 4 players with protect. This fight looks like it came down to the wire. I mean, this looks like they could have been inches away from not doing this with that many things going on that would still be in effect at the screenshot, at the time of the screenshot.
Yeah, that means that they took that screenshot within less than 2 minutes after they had beaten it, which is pretty good considering it always takes other people, I know, more than 2 minutes of yelling before we get to the screenshot.
So yeah, we're still waiting on the official, but it looks like Blue Garter has done it again. Hey, and I know we don't get into, when your free company is doing your progression and stuff, we don't get into the strategies and things like that while you're doing it, because we don't want to tip anything that you and the free company are doing. But since the race is over, can I ask how close you guys were here? Because we've seen your 6, 7, and 8 guides already up, which means you were definitely working turn 9 when BG finished this. How close were you guys?
We had a lot of scheduling conflicts this patch, a lot. We weren't in there nearly as much as we wanted to be on a nightly basis, a lot of nights off. So we actually, we didn't beat turn 8 till, I think, a weekend, 2 days after they had finished it. I think just this last Wednesday we beat turn 8. So, yeah, we were way behind them. We considered ourselves out of the running in this because of all the scheduling conflicts that we had. So we've spent maybe 10 hours, 12 hours in there total since we actually beat turn 8 on Wednesday, and so far it's looking pretty good. We're moving on towards phase 3 of the fight, and it's definitely an improvement over the prior fights of the game, especially what I would call the disappointment of Leviathan Extreme. And
let's talk about that, actually, because on Reddit, Blue Garter's always been pretty good about answering as many questions as they can on Reddit when they do this. And then I'm sure there's going to be a video to come and everything like they did with turn 5. In all the chatter on Reddit and on the forums about the turn 9 kill, Blue Garter keeps reiterating that while these turns 1 through 4 in the second binding coil of Bahamut may not be as technically difficult, like mechanic-wise or hitting, as the first 5, they are definitely more dependent on execution, where if you don't execute, you're going to pay. And it's all about execution. They said that multiple times on the Reddit thing. And maybe difficulty is the wrong word to use there. I'm not trying to imply that these turns are easier than the other ones. That's by no means what I'm trying to imply. But what I think what they were trying to bring forth is that execution was vitally important on all 4 turns here, where maybe it wasn't in all of the previous 5 turns. Until maybe turn 5 with the twisters. It just seemed more important to them that everybody had to know what was going on, when it was going to happen, and how to do it. And if anybody screwed up, the entire group was in trouble right away. Is it,
Yeah.
you kind of agreeing with that assessment?
Well, yeah, like you said, mechanic-wise, because I've had, BG members tend to stop by my stream occasionally. Some of them, randomly, somebody will bring up BG, and at least one of them is in there almost all the time. I don't know, they sometimes we just sit there quietly until somebody says Blue Garter, and then one of them's like, oh, no, yeah, we're doing that. Like, what are you doing here? And they didn't say anything about it being not as hard mechanically. A really big difference, they said, between patch 2.0 and 2.2 was that there was more of a focus on just the binding coil of Bahamut, whereas before they had to work on making sure they had the right crafts. They had to work on they worked on a lot of crafting on the side and melding gear, getting that together. There's a lot more diverse goals to go for in 2.0, but because they were an all best in slot from 2.0, because they had all their crafts now leveled, they could put their pure focus on there. And they said it was definitely an execution-based fight, and I agree. So far, everything has been more execution-based. I look back at turns 1 through 5. I remember getting, I think my group is like, we were second or third who beat turn 1. I remember we were in less than item level 70. We're like, why don't we just Zerg it? And it's like completely forewent all mechanics. Turn 2 ended up literally just being stack and move to the left every few seconds. I think at turn 4 was more of a gear check. It had a lot of positioning and aggro problems, more of a gear check. And then turn 5, I could talk about turn 5 for ages, but I think turns 6, 7, 8, and 9 as a whole were more difficult. And me and BG share this, at least we did in my chat, more of a skill check. Gear is
That's a great way
here.
to put it. And I'm not trying to put words in BG's mouth. They did not say, oh, this was easier. And if I've left you with that impression, chat, I apologize. That's my fault, not BG's fault. BG they were making the point that this was an execution check.
Yes,
if you could not do this as a team and work together, you don't have a prayer. It doesn't matter, whether the gear was almost there, not quite there. This was all about execution, where turn 1 through 5 maybe gave you a little bit of slack in some execution areas. I do not mean to imply that BG said 1 through 5 was easy mode and 6 through 9 was hard mode. No, that's not what they said. But it's definitely a focus on execution. Now, you mentioned, and this brings up the whole question that kind of Reddit got into at that point.
Yes.
Was some players are looking at it as, wow, BG took this down really quickly. Does that mean that the Final Fantasy XIV raiding content isn't going to hold up? As soon as it's put out, it's churned and burned and moved on. Now, you pointed out some of the differences here. It took 2 months for Blue Garter to claim World First on turn 5.
Yes.
And it took, from the official launch day, it was a little less than 2 months, by a day.
Yeah.
And it took them a little less than 3 weeks from 2.2 launch to turn 9 kill. And to be fair, they did say that they probably could have had this a few days earlier, but they also had scheduling and internet snafus, connection issues with some things. So 3 weeks. Granted, at launch, you had to level and gear and do all that fun stuff. So there were other time sinks before they could really just start focusing on Twintania. Do you think there's maybe something behind the content not being enough? Or does BG just put so much time into this as a group that, I'm probably not going to take out T9 before 2.3. So it's okay to me. But what about you, somebody that's playing the game at a little bit of a faster pace? Is there a danger of churn and burn here with the raid content?
There's always a danger of churn and burn, no matter what game you're playing, because there's a group of people out there that always want to churn and burn it. I mean, BG is one of those groups. I'd like to consider me and the people I play with one of those groups as well. We want to do it as fast as possible. We want to be at the forefront. We want to, think for ourselves and really test our brain, to test our puzzle-solving skills. And we turn and burn it. That's what we love to do. Some of us then go on to complain there's no content.
Right. That's the other side of that, is you're going to be the jerk posting a YouTube video there's no content.
Some of us understand that is just the way that we play, and that there is by no means no content in the game. I know people who are still going through the first set of Extreme Primals. There are plenty of people now coming up on the PlayStation 4 that are working on their Relic and are working on their first set of Binding Coils. People have a lot of varied goals, and groups that are ahead of the patch will always churn and burn. And then that gives us time to do other things. Like for me, it gives me more time to stream once I've churned and burned and to connect with my viewers. It allows me to put out more videos based on other things, maybe talk about lore and things like that. It really is just like big time investment now for a lot of free time later. And then we come back, we do it again every patch. So I don't think it's a sign that the content is easier. I think it's just a sign that gear wasn't an issue here. That's really a big thing for me.
Yeah.
In this patch, gear is a reward, not a requirement.
Yep.
That is the best way I could think to put it. Whereas going through the first set of coils, I can't imagine doing Twintania in full dark light. I don't care how good you were. Doing it in full dark light just seems unfeasible to me at this rate without the echo. So I really think that gear was halting progression back in the first patch, and so were twisters. And this is way more nailed down and exact. You do exactly this, it will work. Everybody does their job, and it comes together, and it feels great.
Awesome. I love the content schedule, the release. I mean, it's perfect. It's probably even more perfect for the way I play now because my raid group fell apart. So I still have to do turn 5 and then 6, 7, 8, and 9. And I need extreme primals. I only need Levi and Mog. I have them unlocked. I just haven't done them yet. So I kind of like the schedule, and I'm probably going to fall a little behind here without a raid group. But yeah. I'm okay with the release schedule. It's working great for me. I'm finishing content just as the new content is coming in most cases. When 2.2 dropped, the only thing I hadn't killed was Twintania, but I had some Twintania action. I was literally on the last fight in the game when all the new stuff was added. So for me, it's perfect. Anyway, congrats to the Order of the Blue Garden. Congrats our friends from the XIV Reborn show. Congratulations. And we'll keep you posted on the official announcement from Yoshi P. We expect it will come sometime soon. No reason to doubt what they did. Yes. So let's do some viewer questions, Happy, before we call it a night. Chris wants to know, the music has been a huge selling point for me. Do you find that it adds to the experience? And what are your favorites?
I found it, by the way.
Oh, you did find it! Nice!
It was on the floor to the left. Whereas, because I must have just torn it off and it flew, whereas my entire DVD was on the right and everything else was on the right.
Did I say? See, Chad is yelling at me. Did I say garden? If I said garden, I apologize. I said blue garter 900 times before that. Apologies.
Too bad you didn't do it before April 1st. They
right.
Put that as their April Fool's joke.
Apologies, blue garter. If I said garden, no. How do you get it right 99 times ahead? I don't know.
Yeah,
blue garter. Congratulations. Yeah, Maybe it was just a miss here. Man. I don't know. So, yeah, all right, so music.
I love the music. One thing I really love about the music, I pay attention to my first time in, then I focus on the fight. And then when I'm grinding out the fight, I stop and appreciate the music a lot. Once I've sort of conditioned to the fight and I know where to go and I don't have to put all my focus, it's something to look forward to in game to me. And I just get kind of wrapped up in the songs. They're all great songs. Some of them I would even listen to outside of the game, which is a little embarrassing, but awesome at the same time.
Just grooving. Don't worry about it.
I can't hear the music. How am I supposed to?
I know you can't.
I was checking my audio again. Did I hit the weather or not? Yeah, I'm good.
Yes, absolutely love the music. Love the music. Hence all the soundtracks and the Before Meteor soundtrack and all that jazz. Favorites, obviously King Mogomog, right? I mean, that's kind of one of my favorites there. I like that one. And then I dig the instrumental answers in Coil.
Yes,
I love that song. So, and then of course Papaya.
I gotta say, the Leviathan song has grown on me. I used to make fun of it, and it's kind of grown on me a little bit. I just used to make Leviathan, like great lyrics. Can't wait for Ramu.
Nick Baker, Niabari from Game Breaker Nation wants to know, how exciting is it that Minions are exclusive drops from Ventures? Boy, I believe we called that a few shows ago, that there was
somebody posted a screenshot of the Mind Flayer.
The minute Mind Flayer.
And he looks ugly.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to get them. I'm leveling my retainers really quickly. I'm glad there are
Same here.
some unique rewards from retainers, even if they are just minions.
I don't like that minions are there, but that's just because I have to do it. If there was nothing exclusive there, I would be bitching about how there needs to be something exclusive there.
Come on, you go get the turn 9 housing item for your personal
Right.
house when it
Yes.
comes out.
My companion or my retainer came back with a roof. Somebody's gonna be pissed. Yami wants to know, on a more serious note, if you were to peg down one thing, what draws you to the game, and what do you like about it?
Call me a fanboy, but I'm gonna have 2 words for you: Final Fantasy.
So it's all about IP for you.
I'm a fan of the theme. It's a theme I've grown up with. Those type of fantasy realms, familiarity. It's familiar to me. I can't say those words right now. And it just, whenever I see an enemy or a name that I remember from my childhood, from the Final Fantasies I grew up with, it sends me down a nostalgia trip, and I love that about the game. That it keeps me in a comfort zone. That's what it is for me.
Well, since you took nostalgia, which I could definitely agree with, there's a huge, like the first time I saw the Magitech mount, and I rode it across the map, I was like, oh, squee! I did the whole fanboy thing. That probably just blew some eardrums out. Anyway,
yeah, mine.
So you'll say that. I'm gonna go with. I gotta go with the people that no. Fuck no. I got to go with the people I play with. The Game Breaker Nation makes it really cool to play this game, and be able to jump into other games with the same people is a nice thing. So it's the people that I play with and the nostalgia thing, but you took that answer. So Matthew wants to know, what advice would you give to brand new players? I got the game last night. I love the show. It convinced me to buy Final Fantasy XIV. Well, welcome, Matthew. Welcome. Appreciate the compliment. What advice would you give a new player? Mine would be take your time. There's so much there that you're going to feel like you have to catch up, especially if you have friends playing the game that you're going to want to go and do things with, and there's going to be a compulsion to catch up. The story's too good to rush it, dude. Just have some fun, chill. You'll get there when you get there, and if your friends really want to help you, it's called level sync, and every dungeon you go in, it's going to happen, and every fate you're going to do with them, it's going to happen. If they're real friends, let them come to you, Matthew. Sit back and enjoy the ride. What about you, Happy?
www.youtube.com/Xehanort1227, because that's what it was when I made it 6 years ago. Still Square Enix product, but there you go. That's my advice to you.
Chat is
shameless.
That was shameless. Chat is saying, "Don't be a bad dragoon." That's their advice to you, Matthew.
Don't be a 16-bit dragoon.
Right, but you get a mount. And Michael Bruin finally wants to know: do you both play with the same 7 players, or do you play with multiple groups from your free company?
I do coil with the same 7 people, but other than that, I'm open to doing whatever. Sometimes when I'm streaming, I'll go and I'll do dungeons, or I'll camp fates, as you can see in one of my videos, with viewers and things like that. So I like doing things with different groups. Sometimes hop on a party finder for Titan hard mode or something and help somebody with their relic. I'm not just locked down to 7 people.
Yeah, on my side, my raid group, which, like I said, just recently disbanded, that was pretty steady with the same 7 people, although there were 2 spots that we constantly, based on schedule, were subbing in and out, but it was usually the same subs coming in and out. So I would say it was constantly the same 9 people back and forth. And that was just for our weekly raiding, or two times a week raiding. Everything else, there's so many people in GBN that no, I don't. I just go with whoever's doing whatever and go help out with a hard mode or an extreme mode or whatever. So now I don't have a raid group, so 0 people. There you go. Mr. Michael Poveromo, thank you for joining me today, sir. Mr. Happy1227 if you want to follow him on the Twitters, and then of course follow him on the YouTube that he shamelessly plugged during the show. Check out all the videos he's doing there. We also put up the guides on xivnation.com for you, so you can get your fill of Mr. Happy everywhere. My name's Mike Byrne. You can follow me at MagicMan1, MAGICKMANN1. Obviously, follow Gamebreaker TV on Facebook and Twitter. Come and check out the show every week, Tuesday at 4 Pacific, right here on Gamebreaker's official Twitch channel. Until next week, gang, stay safe, and we'll see you out on the servers.